Hello friends, welcome to Akul Mike Live and I am Chandrakant. Today we have a very special guest in Spotlight section and she will tell us what the startup and the venture capitalist must do. It's a very interesting discussion which is coming up right now. So friends, stick around to this discussion as there will be a lot of learning from this conversation. Welcome back, friends. And today we have a very special guest in our studios. Her name is Farida Charania. She is the CEO of a very boutique organization based out of Singapore called Career Zoom. And we will learn so many new things after discussing with her. So, without further ado, let me welcome Farida to the show.
Thank you, CK. Always a pleasure to be back on your show. I hope everyone is keeping well. And yeah, can't wait to get started on this discussion. What do you have in mind?
I think most happening things because of the pandemic or lockdown, etc., is basically people want to kickstart their business, and to kickstart the startup arena, I think a lot of investments are required. So I would like to know more about on that front from you because you work globally, and what is happening in the ventures arena.
Okay, that's a very broad question, but let me share with you and the viewers some of the few things which have been slightly different from what I'm used to saying. So all the investors that I speak to, from the perspective of investments, there is a mindset shift that I see in investors. Earlier, investors were, mostly investing in value addition kind of companies, and it didn't matter if even at Series B they were not profitable. But if they were creating value, then investors were always interested. Now, there is an added requirement there. Investors are not really looking to only invest in projects which will, double, triple, quadruple their money and make it many times, because that, of course, is something that every investor expects. But they also expect something that is going to create an impact, something that is sustainable, something that adds value. So it's no longer about people and profits. It's about people, performance, profits, and finally the planet. So, how are these people who are getting involved and driving a certain initiative? How uh, good or how well positioned are they to deliver profitability? Once they have delivered profitability, how are they sustaining and adding value to the planet? And I have been having these discussions with a lot of investors, and they really look for an impact or a value addition sustainability. So, my recommendation to any startup trying to, raise funds is to basically understand how they are adding value, how they are helping the world to become a better place with their product, because that is becoming very important in today's time.
Fair enough, Farida. So basically, what you're saying is that the startups must think of value creation before they even approach the funding agency, and they should know very clearly about their business. You know what value they are giving, so that the customer can pay the money to them against that value, and also their ventures are profitable. So I think they are looking at that, and I think what you're trying to say is that the funding agencies are willing to spend more number of years when they enter into a startup, isn't it, Farida?
Yes, that's right. Because the short-term myopic view is so much out of context in today's time. We have been through a pandemic globally. We are still actually, struggling with the pandemic, and the aftermath is going to follow for many years to come. We don't know how long it's going to take, and we can't even call it recovery because it's going to be a completely new world. Yeah. So investors are not just looking at short-term gains, they are looking at something which will help to make this recovery better. It will help to make the world a better place. It will probably, create a culture of inclusion for those who are financially excluded. So right now the most inclusion opportunities in terms of the availability of investors is coming to those who are in those areas where they get visibility, where they are able to reach out to the investors. But today it's more about inclusion. We are living in a borderless virtual world where every kind of engagement is possible, like you and I are speaking in two different countries and online. So all of this is possible, therefore this team is becoming a little more tougher in terms of their ability to get funding. Every day there are millions of ideas which come up, and in every sector that we need to kind of see change, we need again hundreds and thousands of startups in that area. So there is opportunity for everyone, but the ones who will actually be able to get these opportunities and kind of uh, grow with them are people who are able to add a sustainability piece to their entire initiative. So for instance, let's take a company which is say in the e-commerce business. What is their sustainability plan? How are they actually adding value? Take simple examples. Today, I am in a position as a consumer to order one pen, and the e-commerce agency is able to send it to me packed in 15 different packaging. So by the time I open the pen, I have actually created a mess and I have made the planet dirtier. So do they have a sustainability piece where they are able to, deliver stuff without impacting too much in terms of, without making the planet very dirty? If I am an investor, I would be interested in that. But if it is just an e-commerce company, then I'm not getting anything different. I will go and invest even at a much higher valuation to someone who has a track record and who is profitable, because I want my money back. But if I want to really make a difference, I will invest in a company which is telling me that we will reduce the carbon footprint. We are going to make the planet less dirty, and we are still being able to deliver it to the customer in the time that they actually want at a competitive pricing.
Well, I think there has been a very remarkable agreement between UK and India last month, which was £1 billion agreement, and all of these things are covered. So, climate policy of any organization. There are more than 100 companies are investing in UK, and then UK is also bringing a lot of tech to India. So, I think between India and UK, they want to basically double their trade by 2030. That is a plan. And there is another thing on in terms of the investment between UK and India is that there is going to be a free trade agreement that is on the way. It's not yet signed, and a free trade agreement will bring ease of payment between parties. And I would like to draw the example of Singapore and Thailand, because they were the first one to do that, to sign up a free trade between them, specifically for micro payments. So they have integrated their micro payment application, and people can engage with Singaporeans if they are based out of Thailand, and vice versa, and they can transfer up to 25,000 bahts or 1,000 Singapore dollars across the border without any taxation, without any of those things. So I think in nutshell, when it comes to investments, there is a lot of investments now happening in India. So my question now is to ask about your company, which is CareerZoom. Are you aiming to get into that arena of where there are a lot of investment happening via UK, via other routes into India, and the ticket size is almost like $500,000?
Okay, so I will answer this question in two parts. Okay, one is what CareerZoom does is the premise on which I built CareerZoom was to make other companies successful, because startup to company is the most difficult journey, and a lot of startups don't make it. So what we try to do is, with the experience that we have gathered, my team and I, we help startups to make that journey from startup to a company. Now this involves a lot of things: operational control, compliance control, the ability to have a proper execution plan for commercialization, etc. But one of the most important things where we help the companies is to be able to, one, be ready to be in front of an investor. So that is the coaching and guidance that we provide. And two, once they are in front of an investor, help them to understand, what is the way that they can actually get that investment. So to answer your question, yes, I do have a number of clients who are based out of India in centers where, there is a lot of startup activity like Bangalore, etc., Bangalore, Gurgaon, etc. I am not looking at getting in there. We are already there.
Great. So I think that is a remarkable, thought-provoking point that you made. I think people who are listening to this conversation can reach out to you just in case if they're looking for any kind of guidance, investment, how to do business, and even manpower. So I think that is great, Farida. But in terms of what are the opportunities for Indian startup? Because you have a global perspective, do you have any guidance on that front?
Yes, sure. So my guidance to anyone who is, who has a brilliant idea and has kind of, got to making it a startup and has started working on it, is to get your home market right first. Because without getting your home market right, it's very, very difficult to start thinking expansion, market share, etc. So one, get your home market right. Understand whether it's a blue ocean strategy. I mean, is it, something which is a niche which did not exist? Because then, if you go global, your ability to engage people and get them interested is much higher. But if you are creating a better product in an already existing market, then that's not a blue ocean strategy because you're trying to acquire a market share. So it's even more important that you get your home market right. My advice would be that you start with a small market, get it right, use that learning to expand into other markets which are similar, and you have a sizable revenue to then start reinvesting that revenue in your expansion. But expansion at the very early stages without getting your home market right is not advisable.
Farida ji, in terms of the opportunities that we see around, and a lot of patrons who actually come on our show, they talk about opportunities in the area of digital payments. There are a lot of new digital payment players in India, and they are actually competing with PayPal, and their offerings are even better than the other areas are in the digital space, and paramedics, and few online other activities, but the usual money churners where they travel, tours and tourisms, hospitality, those things are not showing a lot of promise. And also electric car, electric vehicle arena, do you think there will be investors in your network who would like to invest in these emerging ventures?
Yes, possibly yes, because it's about, again, not a myopic view of what is going to happen in the next 2 or 3 years, but what is the possibility in the next 20, 25, 30 years. So yes, there are investors who specifically, and it's a good timing actually, because the valuations are pretty low in these areas, so it's a good timing for investors in my view. So there definitely are investors. I wouldn't say too many, but yes, a few investors who are on lookout for assets like this, who are on lookout for ventures like this. Also think of this thing, when you talk about payments, yeah, if anyone who is creating a payment startup says they are not afraid of PayPal, Google Pay or Apple Pay, it's a joke. Everyone is, but the point is that there is still opportunity to make it better. Yeah, it's very easy for anyone like a Google to take any technology and basically just put them to bed and just make sure that they never come to light. But if that would happen, then there will be no startup. So there are always two strategies. Like I mentioned, a blue ocean strategy, which is completely new, and there is a niche which does not exist. And then there is another strategy which is more about creating a better product. Because if the thought process was like this, Samsung would have never come to light. They just copied Apple and made it better. Yeah. So there is space for everyone in this market. It is how how clear your roadmap is, how quickly can you get there. Those are the two things which will set aside the unicorns from the non-unicorns. So there is space for everyone. And even if these things are not doing well right now, for instance, travel and tourism, or even e-vehicles, if they are not doing well at this point in time, doesn't mean they wouldn't do well in future. So there definitely is opportunity. There are investors, not too many. I would be doing creative writing if I say there are too many, but yes, there are a few who would be interested in these kind of things.
Well, I think we had a very wonderful conversation today. People who are watching our conversation, they must be getting cues, and if they want to reach out to you in terms of investments, in terms of HR, guidance, in terms of execution, etc., they are most welcome to reach out to you directly, or they can reach out to us. We will make that connection happen. So it was pleasure talking to you, Farida, as usual, and we will catch up in the next one.
Thank you so much, PK. Stay safe, stay healthy. Bye.